What the fuck is the main character's name? Is it Hazel? Surely she has a name. It's not Paige, is it? Sage. It's fucking Sage. Oh my lord, that was an ordeal. Hello and welcome to another questionable review, where today we begin the true search for romance. So I thought my first logical step when reacquainting myself with romance would be to start with what I already know, and so I searched my bookshelves for the few romances that have survived over the years, and I read them all. These are not all of the romances that I read. These are three that I couldn't really lump together into any particular category, and so they just get thrown together right now. Just from reading the romances that I have started a tier list in my mind. There are 4 tiers. Obviously, God tier at the top, you know, includes things like if the romance has other stuff going on that's interesting, and, you know, whether it's particularly, whether the messages in the romance are good, etc. You know, we're not encouraging any violence against anyone or anything like that. That's always a good sign. The next one I call the sugar tier, and that is because it's saccharine and sweet, and it's okay. Next tier is the gruel tier, which is straight up boring, bland as porridge. And the final tier is shit tier, which is just trash. Okay, so I'm going to start with the book that I enjoyed the least. And it kind of fits into the gruel tier. It's pretty boring, but it is still pretty saccharine. The Queen of Bright and Shiny Things. And I have no idea what the author's first name is. Aguirre is the second name. Yeah. I don't know where the cover of this is. Oh, I swear I take good care of my books, guys. I really do. The basic plot of The Queen and Bright and Shiny Things is there's this girl, Sage, and she lives with her aunt. We don't really know what the situation is there. There's kind of like something's gone down in her home life that has made her have to come and live with her aunt, but we don't exactly know what it is. And it also makes her very concerned with being a good person. And one of the results of this is that my cat's climbing in the... Every time there's an animal. Right. One of the results of this is that she wants to make other people feel good. She never wants to bring other people down or make them feel bad. So what she does is, if she sees anyone having a particularly bad day at her school, she'll go and put a post-it note on their locker with like a compliment or just something nice to hopefully brighten their day. Then a new boy comes to her school called Shane Cavendish, who is, you know, quiet, and he kind of gets bullied a little bit, and, you know, she wants to make him feel welcomed, and, you know, she also fancies him, and as a result this relationship develops. Really gonna go into spoilers here because it's just not that interesting of a book, and if I was to go into detail it would probably be wasted time. But I would like to say that it is a very saccharine book and somehow very boring for the subject matter that it deals with. But for a slice of life as it is, there's something about it that keeps you reading. And I'm gonna like touch on this in a little bit, but it's sort of aiming for that sleepy summer romance feel, but it doesn't quite get there. I don't know what exactly it is. I don't know whether it's because it's not actually set in summer, But yeah, that's the kind of thing it's going for. And it's this feel that I'm looking for as I go forward with the romances. Because romances are really supposed to be something that you can relax with and turn your brain off. I don't want it to be complete trash because that'd just be grim. I think as well that maybe this book might be aimed at younger readers than I'm used to reading. It just doesn't seem very complex in the writing style, etc. But I've never read any of this author's other books, so I couldn't comment on, their writing style as a whole. So next I'm going to do my second favourite book out of these three. It comes from the sugar tier, so it is a little bit, nothing really happens in it and it's all a bit saccharine, but I'm going to use the word saccharine a lot in these reviews, I can just feel it. But that is Soul Love by Linda Waterhouse, and I can't remember when exactly it came out, 2004, but it's just a random summer romance novel that I read once when I was like 13, and I've just never gotten rid of it. There's something about it that I really enjoy, and I think it is that it encapsulates that summer romance feeling so well. Like, I read this at the very beginning of the year and it was snowing outside, and I was obviously stuck inside, freezing cold, wrapped up in blankets, but this book somehow made me feel like I was in a sleepy little town in the middle of summer. So that's something to be said for the writing style, at least. And the plot is a girl with a tragic backstory moves in with her hippy-dippy aunts, and we slowly find out what happened to her in her past while she meets a dark-haired musician who also has a troubled past. Actually, exactly the same plot, but I feel like this one does it a lot better for whatever reason. It does deal with some heavy themes, and I find that this is kind of a theme as well among all of the romance novels, is that they deal with really heavy themes and really like out there themes that like should be discussed with caution and such like. And it's because it's just so not the main part of the story, it all kind of gets shoved off to the side and everything feels happy and weird and lovey-dovey, even though there's all this terrible stuff happening. And one of the things I like about Soul Love, spoiler alert, in case you wanted to read it, is that it doesn't have a necessarily happy ending. I wouldn't say it's like a tearjerker or anything, but basically the two leads do not end up together at the end. There's a reason that they have to separate. And I find that, tragedy works a lot better for me when it comes to love stories, because reading happy endings over and over again gets really, typical, really boring and really predictable. I like a good subversion of plot beats, or whatever you would call that. I also enjoy the love interest in this one. His name is Gabe, and he's kind of a manic pixie dream boy for a lot of the book. Like, he just kind of flits in and out, and he's moody and unpredictable, and we don't really know what's going on with him and where we stand with him as the main character. So it's interesting to see that played out, from the female perspective with a manic pixie dream boy. And I'm not saying he's exactly like, he's not madly quirky or anything like that, but he takes her on little adventures and things, and it's all very exciting and secretive. So there's that same kind of vibe, so I appreciated the effort in that sense. In all, this is actually a book that I really enjoyed, again, even though this is probably like the 10th time I've read it or something like that. It's really short, and it's just worth a read if you've got nothing to do for a day or two. The last book I wanted to talk about is the one that I enjoyed the most, and I'm going to be putting it in the God tier simply because my expectations are not very high for these romances. So I feel like if I hold myself out for the God tier, that tier is going to be empty. And plus, this doesn't really fit into the sugar tier, which is the next layer down, because there is a little bit of depth to this one. Well, I think so anyway. So this book is ADORKABLE by Sarah Manning. This is a British book and it came out in 2012, and the lingo in it is very 2012, but once you get past that, it's actually a really good story. We follow both Jean and Michael. The story, you know, goes in between them, and at the beginning of the book, the boyfriend and girlfriend, respectively, cheat on them with each other. And obviously this brings Michael and Jean together, and they are complete opposites. Jean is this quirky, weird, out there girl who wears like stripy tights and old lady cardigans and dyes her hair crazy colours, and Michael's like, think like typical jock in like an American movie, like he's captain of the football team, but he gets like all straight A's, and he's you know, got the perfect life and the perfect family and the perfect girlfriend until she cheats on him. So yeah, they're complete opposites, but they come together, and obviously that's always fun to read. It's always fun to see them exploring each other's personalities and finding the parts that they like about each other and learning from each other. And one thing that I really, really like about this book is Jean is obviously a difficult woman. She's finishing up her, you know, 2 college years in the high school, 6th form, that's what it's called. And she has her own label type thing where she, you know, she does a bit of fashion and she's a trendsetter and things like this. She has a blog called ADORKABLE, and she's not interested at all in fitting in with her peers at school. She lives on her own. She's very like mature for her age, and she hangs out with people a lot older than her all the time. And she really just does not make herself likable. And usually when we have a female character like this, I often find in the books that I read that the male counterpart for this character is weirdly perfect. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to read about perfect men because they don't exist. And that isn't like a dig or anything. Nobody's perfect. Perfect woman doesn't exist either. But reading about a man that's got no flaws and that just falls in love with this woman anyway, despite her flaws, like, it's boring to read about because it doesn't happen. And the thing that I like about this is that even though Michael on paper seems perfect, he's actually kind of a dick, and he's very nasty to Jean and to anyone who doesn't fit into his kind of idea of what teenagers should be like. And obviously through his relationship with Jean, he learns to appreciate the things about himself that are individual and are different, and he learns from her, and, you know, they come to a mutual respect. And they kind of aren't boyfriend and girlfriend through a lot of the book. It's actually kind of almost a friends with benefits situation. And, like, you know, I love a bit of representation of, like, not a, what do you call it, a heteronormative relationship. I like a bit of playing around with, you know, not just insta love, they get together and then they get married. There's other kinds of relationships that people can have, and I didn't really see a lot of that in books that I was reading around the time that this came out. So as far as I'm concerned, it's ahead of the fucking curve. I really, really enjoyed this book. I haven't read it for a long time, and it's just kind of been sitting in a box in the attic. But yeah, I think I'm gonna make a habit out of reading it again every so often, because there's something about Jean's unabashed weirdness that is just really inspiring to me. Yeah, this is definitely the best romance of the 3, and, you know, I would give it a go if, you know, if you've got a spare afternoon. I'm not saying it's anything fantastic, but if it sounds like something that you might be interested in, then bloody go for it. So already on my travels, I've established a few things. Mainly that in order to achieve a good romance, you should usually have a girl with a troubled past moving in with her hippy-dippy aunt and meeting a shaggy dark-haired musician who also has a tragic past. That is all I'm going to be saying for today, but I know what I'm doing next time. So if you happen to still be here and you're interested, I'm going to be talking about the romances in Meg Cabot's books, specifically her, you know, her singles, not like series like Princess Diaries or anything like that. So, you know, come back anytime if you feel like it. This has been a triple questionable review, and I'll see you next time.